All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. Today is Saturday, July 27th of 2024. Looking ahead, we have a 4-game early MLB slate today, followed by a 9-game MLB main slate later this evening. We have a 14-fight MMA card. NASCAR is on a break right now, but we do have Formula One on Sunday. So it should be a fun weekend of DFS. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS-related questions. Get your questions in one of 3 ways here. First off, send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Second, post it live in the YouTube chat. Third way, post it in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord and want to get access to that channel, there is a link in the description of this video. You also get access to our similar channels, individual sport channels, and you get access to the rest of the SaberSim teams. Can't say enough good things about the Discord. With that said, we do this show Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. We do this show here on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. So appreciate you guys tuning in on this Saturday morning here. Let's get SaberSim pulled up and just taking a peek here. Doesn't look like we have any questions in the Discord just yet. Do have one from Andy here. So let's hit this question from Andy in the YouTube chat. Andy said, good morning. Do you set any rules for MMA? I am playing on FanDuel today. Thanks so much. Yeah. So, the only rule that I'll really ever mess with, and we could do this for FanDuel, no problem. So just one thing to note here, right? When you go to your settings, what you're going to see here is you are going to see that correlation is up to 2. This only matters if you allow fighters from the same fight. So you see this rule, don't use opposing fighters. It looks like the rule is checked by default. This is a good rule, like just to have active, especially on like these bigger cards, 14 fight, 12 fight. The only time I would ever consider turning it off if it was like a really, really small card, like 7 or 8 fight, something like that, where the player pool is so small that, if you don't allow opposing fighters, the amount of actual lineup combinations goes down. So that's the only time I would leave this rule off. But in general, I'm turning this rule on. Aside from that, no other rules that I'm really messing with here. I haven't heard Will talk about anything special in that department as well, since he's our MMA specialist here on the team. So just wanted to just note that. But no, other than that, nothing super special here. All right. Looks like there's some conversation in the Discord a little bit about the build review show from yesterday. Hope you guys are enjoying those here. We'll see if we pick those back up on Monday, but those are fun. And since we're talking about MMA DFS, let's do a build demo here. We'll build some lineups for MMA on FanDuel here. So one thing about FanDuel is that you do not need to set 2 adjustments, 2 exposures, two projection adjustments to build lineups, only a DraftKings rule. And let's just jump over and we'll see what contest we want to build lineups for, right? So I'm over here, and let's say that you are playing the 5 cent 150 max. Seems like a pretty solid contest to play. So I'm going to add a contest sim for this contest. I'm actually going to add 2 here. All right. So set up my 2 contest sims. We have our build settings all set. We have that 1 rule active. So I'm going to kick this off, right? This looks fine to me. So I'm going to play casually from time to time here. So it looks like we got our lineups. I forgot that we have the fast build mode for MMA. So it's super nice to just get 5,000 lineups in 10 seconds here. All right. So let's go to our contest sim settings. So we're going to set up a self sim here. And we're going to change our field lineups and make a note that this contest sim is a little bit different. All right. So let's run the contest sim here. And we're playing 150 lineups. Change the number in my lineups. And I want to scroll down to the last lineup in my set. So MMA is a little bit different, right? You're going to have to account for duplication. You're going to have to be aware of duplication risk in general, right? So when I create my aggregate metrics, not only do I want average projection, but I actually do want average salary as well, because I think this can be pretty helpful overall. So average salary is like $99 and the max is 100. So, we're playing very, very high salary lineups that could increase our duplication risk, right? So one thing to note there. And then let's just pull up our whole screen here, because we are going to bust out our calculator right now. All right. So in order to account for duplication, we're going to use a geomean rule. And in order to do that, we need to know how many players there are going to be in this contest. So 14,371. So what I want to do is I want to come to my calculator and I want to pick a number of dupes that I want to shoot for. So let's say, I don't want to play lineups that are expected to be duped more than 10 times, right? We'll start there as like a general baseline. So 10 divided by 14, what was it? 371, close parenthesis, to the power of 1 divided by the number of players in the lineup, which is 6, hit equals 29.8 is effectively our first threshold here. So then what I want to do is I want to come into my filters and I want to add a filter. Well, first you need to create a custom metric, right? So I have this geomean custom metric. So you would go to your sorting metrics, go to add metric. You would put my own product geomean value, and then I just named it geomean so I know what it is. And then once you have that set up, you can come to your filters, say show lineups with geomean less than 29.8. So now that's taken 821 lineups and moved them to the trash, which is good. This is exactly kind of the effect that we want. Like trashing like 10 to 20% of our pool. I like to say like trimming the fat off the edges here. So this is solid. All right. So then now I want to change my sorting metric to the self-sim risk adjusted ROI. And then I want to come in here and then I want to say, hey, show me lineups with ROI greater than 0 for both of these contest sims. All right. So that's taking an additional 4,600 lineups and move those to the trash. So now we're left with 351 lineups. So super, super interesting to me, at least, that the average salary here is still so high, right? But one, we're accounting for duplication via geomean. 2, we're accounting for ROI via the contest sims. Now, what I would do is probably look at my exposures, make sure I'm not like super leveraged on any one fighter or anything like that. So like when I sort by exposure, highest exposed fighter, 53%, but the ownership is like 43%. So that's small leverage at the end of the day, which is only like 10% leverage. Our biggest leverage is on Bobby Green here, which doesn't look bad. 18% ownership, 31% in our pool. We have him in 41% of our lineups. I think that's okay. But all things considered, I'm not seeing anything that's like standing out to me like really, really strongly in like a positive or negative direction as far as our exposures go. The only other thing that I'm a little worried about is playing like such high salary lineups. I'm a little interested in playing lower salary lineups, but I just don't know how many there really are going to be here in our set. One thing that you can experiment with is using the mini uniques feature. There's still nothing wrong with trying it. And I went from 1 unique to 2, and that's probably the max I could do here, right? It brings me to lineup 276 out of 351. So, there's nothing wrong with using it. You can see that it only adds 1 fighter to our pool. It brings leverages down a little bit further and makes our stands even flatter than they already were. So if you're okay with taking some stands, leave it at 1. If you want to be a little flatter, it's okay to put it at 2. This is like totally personal preference. And, I'm a little interested. I just want to see like what kind of salaries that we're getting, right? So I can come in here and sort by salary ascending or even descending, right? I'm at the bottom here and just see like kind of what we are getting in our entire pool. So I could change my lineups to 351, which is the number of lineups in the pool. And then and then if I just scroll all the way to the bottom, our lowest lineups are only 98 salary. So it doesn't seem like there's going to be very much that we could do here to build, to just kind of be more aware of like salary as far as like duplication risk goes. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just checking as like more of like a data point there, and just kind of trying to see what it looks like. So, the fact that the lowest lineups left are 98 salary tells me that I don't really need to do anything to account for it, because there's not that much I could do overall. But other than that, other than that decision, whether to play one or two mini uniques, I think these lineups are solid, right? I don't have any issues with the lineups that we're seeing, with the leverages that we're seeing. All right, looks like we have a question here from Demetrius. When you change the number of lineups to 150, if I'm playing 35 lineups, would I just change it to 35? Yeah, however many unique lineups you want to play is whatever number you should put in the My Lineups box. So you got that absolutely correct. All right, let's just pull up SaberSim here. Got a question from Henry. Get this one up as soon as I bring SaberSim back. All right. And Henry said, what is the best way to figure out why a lineup has negative post-sim ROI when I grade it out well pre-lock? Good question. So let's just like go and do an example. Go back to MLB from yesterday. And, maybe we go and like pull up Shady Advices lineups or something. All right. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to the flagship from yesterday. And let's go and look at 150 maxers. All right. So say that, I'm reviewing Shady Advices lineups here, right? And overall positive sim ROI, 25%-ish here. But then let's say that, we actually come into his lineups and then we sort them by sim ROI. And right now we're sorting by sim ROI ascending. So we should see the lowest sim ROIs first, which we do, right? So, okay. So say I come in here and I'm looking at this top lineup, negative 25% sim ROI. Well, why is this lineup grading out so poorly in the sim? And, what I could even do is like take a snapshot of this lineup, right? And be like, okay, the first thing that stands out to me right away is the very, very low projection here. Let me just zoom out, see if we can get some ownerships here. So, projection score 97. And then if we go and look at, his highest lineups, what we're going to see is but I think, okay, so I think that this is the big difference, is that it's going to come down to the ownership of these lineups. Like, if you look at the batters here, his Mariners stack is like sub 5% or 4%, 3%, 3%, 5.5, 6.9. And then he has a two stack less than 1% for the White Sox. Like, yeah, his sum projection is 91%, but almost all of that, or almost half of that is coming from Freddie Peralta alone. All of his other players, even though their projection is low, the ownership is like even lower, right? Relatively here. So he can play some of these lower projected lineups if the batters are a small enough stack. So he's getting the correlation from like the Rockies here, but their ownership is so low, which is why he can live with a 97.9 projection. Now let's go back here and go and look at the worst lineup in his set of 150. So he has that low projection again, but then he's assuming a lot more ownership with this 3 stack of Baltimore, right? Like 9%, 16%, 16%. That's 40% ownership right there. He trades the ownership at the pitcher, right? He's not playing Freddie Peralta, he's playing Sonny Gray instead. But basically, like, this is telling me, like, hey, getting those low owned hitters with a low projection score, with a low overall projected score, is okay. But getting a low projected score with high owned batters is not going to be okay. It's better to just, kind of take like a little bit different avenue here. And then you could even see, a little, like something a little similar, right? With this next one, like negative 16%. So a little better than the negative 25. But what I'm seeing here is that, again, a lot of batter ownership here, 12%, 16, 13, 5, 8, 8, 8, 12. And then, so like, he's not getting any of like the low owned pieces there, but he is playing higher projections. So like, honestly, the projection would have to be probably even higher to overcome like all the ownership that he is playing with the chalky pitchers, with the chalky hitters, right? New York and the A's were kind of projected to be like pretty high run totals, I believe, like 5 for the A's and then 5.1 for the Yankees. So like not very contrarian pieces there, right? And then, these both the pitchers had over 27% expected ownership. So like, it's like, that's kind of the way I would be looking at this. Like, okay, why is this 97 projected score lineup grading out bad? And why is this other 97 projected score lineup grading out good? And what are the differences there? And then like, that is kind of the differences that I saw that helped me figure out why this is happening. So compare those items. You can always take like a little snapshot of a lineup too, like a snip, and then, pull it up side by side with this other lineup and like see what the differences are. But that's what I would be doing. All right. Good question there. No more questions here in the Office Hours channel and Discord or the YouTube chat. So I think we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I will be right back here on Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern for our next show. So until then, everybody, take care. Good luck. I'll see you all. Thanks. Bye.